Welcome everybody to another episode of Coffee is for Closers business series. And today I'm joined with Paul Boyles, executive coach. Welcome and thank you for joining me. And we had met a while back now. I don't know.
It's been a few years ago.
A few years ago when you were just kind of...
I was just starting actually.
And so I wanted to have Paul on today just to catch up on how his business is going. Tell us a little bit more about you and how you got to this point and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, long career in human resources, always worked in HR, always on the corporate side. But about 4 years ago, I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. I loved what I was doing. And I thought the next natural step would be to launch my own business and do some training and some coaching for mostly local clients, Knoxville, Sevier County, Blount County, Northeast or Eastern Tennessee, as they come about. So it's evolved, it's changed, but it's good.
What was the tipping point for you to get into being an entrepreneur and leaving that corporate world? I'm interested. I mean,
we had used a coach where I worked, and he always encouraged me. He said, I think you'd be great at this. You have a natural ability. You're good with people. You should do that. And I kind of hesitated and balked and thought, maybe someday when I retire, and I'll do that.
Yeah.
July of 21, my wife and I both landed in the hospital with COVID.
Oh, good Lord.
Separate rooms, isolated completely. I was there for 4 days. She was there for 5. And when you're flat on your back in a hospital bed by yourself and you've got COVID, you start thinking, it's now or never. Life's too short. Let's do this. So
wow.
That was the impetus to...
That was it. Amazing. Well, good for you, man. That's fantastic. Now, you say executive coach, so I want to kind of define that a little bit. Is it just one-to-one? You could do that, but also team or what?
Yeah,
what do you...
the business has basically 2 parts. One is the coaching, and the other is group employee training programs.
Okay.
So the coaching is generally one-to-one, and then the other part of it is group customized employee training programs for companies, organizations.
So I find it interesting because I'm totally enthralled with leadership. I'm a huge fan, okay? When you look at like employee engagement in companies, do you know what percentage what do they say? Like the engagement level of employees today is what percent of the time, or what is that?
Well, it depends where you look at the data.
Okay.
Right? It really does. I think it's about 30%, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Actively disengaged folks are at about 17%, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, okay. Very good. All right, well, that was a good lead in. So the number one question, we hit on it a little bit, but can you define your why?
It's really simple. I learned a lot from leaders, both good leaders and bad leaders. I've gained a lot of experience and wisdom over those years. Mistakes that I made, or I've learned from bad leaders as much or more than I did from good leaders. I want to be able to pass that along and make somebody else's journey a little bit easier, smoother, better, faster, whatever it might be. If I can help them in some way, why shouldn't I? I should be doing that, right?
Yeah.
That's part of getting older.
Right. Do you see the next generation gravitating toward really going deep on that subject and really wanting to know and understand it and drive it home?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are embracing it. I go to clients pretty much every month on a repeat basis. They're coming up to me afterwards saying, that thing you taught me last month, I used it, it worked.
Oh, that's cool.
That's great. That's what we're here for. That's the purpose.
That's got to make you feel good about the decisions you've made personally and commitments. That's a great why. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, number 2.
Okay.
Is what problem do you solve?
It's a little bit of everything, and it depends on the client, right? A lot of times when I meet with a potential client who's going to be my partner, they'll talk about their symptoms. We're having turnover issues or engagement issues or retention issues or whatever it might be. This team is struggling. They're not producing the results we need them to or want them to, or a lot of it comes down to communication issues. So it's helping them navigate those challenges, navigating change.
I've done a little reading on this. Your people need to know that you care about them. That's a scary proposition sometimes these days. Those are things that I've read those are little tidbits where you can really raise that engagement level. Like whether it's just be walk around management style, right? Hey, Paul, how's your wife today? Or what's this, you knew that about me? I mean, those kind of little things, right? That's just cool stuff.
Makes a big difference.
And they're so simple to do. It doesn't cost, it costs you a little time.
Nothing. Right.
That's it, a little thought, a little intentionality. Okay, so number 3, and the final question is, what do people experience when they engage with you, when you go through training with you?
I want to give them a really unique customized personal experience. I want them to know I'm in their corner. If I don't have the answer, I'll tell them I don't have the answer. But 9 times out of 10, I have some insight and some thought. Hey, you can do this, try this, let's do this. I want them to know that, hopefully I have met or exceeded their expectations on all fronts. When somebody comes up to me after a training class, for example, and says, I have some questions, can you help me out? And I'll answer questions. Or can you recommend a couple books about that? I want to read more.
Yeah.
I know I've hit something, right? There's some, hey, I've ignited a thought in their head.
Sure.
They want to know more.
You spark something in them.
Exactly. So that's what it's all about.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The last thing I do ask, though, is give a shout out. Paul, I need to really raise the level of leadership in my organization. I want to engage with you.
Sure.
How do they do that?
Sure. Best way is probably my email, Paul Boyles, execcoach@paulboyles.com, or just give me a call or a text at 865-333-1821.
Perfect.
And my website's out there too, of course.
Perfect, Paul. Well, we'll see you around town.
Yeah.
I thank you again for taking
Thank
the
you.
time to meet with me today. It's been fun learning, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's really cool what you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank
I
you,
really
mate.
do.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Have a great
Sure.
day.
Thank you.
See everybody. We'll see you in the next episode of Coffee is for Closers.
Yep.
All right,
Absolutely.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.